Welcome back, man. 2020 version. Keep it a buck. In partnership with Hall Mills. We here in the studio.
A lot of these offers don't be that real, so it's not committable.
That feel like when everybody's getting their turn and it's not yours. What they call you? Godfather of New Jersey.
You powerful know? Man. I ain't gonna brag, but that's what they said. I ain't say that.
Another episode of Keep It a Buck here, man. Thanks for coming out. 2020 version with my partner team Do It, Savon Huggins. Blessed to have state champion, controversial coach Richie Hansen in the building from St. Peter's Prep. Rich, man, thanks for coming out, man. You always come through when we ask, and I guess the timing couldn't be any better. We just had Sabella in, so I wanted to thank Sabella of Don Bosco Prep for providing us with the Bosco apparel.
Good.
A lot of stuff in the bag and everything, but we're gonna get it out the way. We're gonna put it away because Coach Richie here feeling like I got the wrong burgundy going on here. But thanks, Coach Sabella. You know, and I'm gonna ask the questions. Okay, so I wanted to start, you know, because I noticed when you guys came in, you are still wearing the Under Armour, but I hear this Adidas talk. Yeah. What's going on? You guys switched.
Yeah, we got a national sponsorship. I think there's 3 schools in the country now. I think Aquinas down south and St. John Bosco out in California. So they call us Elite 3 Stripe, and it's great for our school, great for our kids. You know, kids love the gear. Nike picked us for the Elite 40. I left it up to the kids. You know, we started negotiating with Adidas, and they came through with a great deal, and kids love it. So great for the program, you know, and we're happy to do it.
So you guys got to wear Adidas from head to toe. I see Savon got a pretty special pair Adidas going
on right now.
Yeah, we're slowly getting there. We're all, you know.
Yes, for those of you that don't know, Adidas has pretty much just overtaken Nike in all sales except, I believe, the Jordan brand. That's the only one Adidas isn't outselling right now. But you know, I'm looking forward to seeing y'all in that. I know you're real excited about that gear.
Oh, of course, man. You know, I can't wait, man. I love gear. Coach Hansen know that.
So
the kids got to dress Adidas all the way through.
Yeah. You know,
you get Kanye's?
Kicks, cleats, uniforms. I mean, it's a great. They really take care of us. It's a great deal.
High school football is going to another level nowadays, man.
Like, yes, it is.
Was you guys sponsored back when you played?
We were sponsored. But New Balance. Remember New Balance?
Everybody was New Balance back then.
Was it for a little while, and then we were the first school to go Under Armour.
Yep.
And we were the first school at the time to go Under Armour, and we had like 2 jerseys, and then we ended up doing the whole deal when I finished graduating. That's when we had like 3-4 jerseys Under Armour, something like that.
It's grown. It's become a much bigger business now.
How many jerseys you guys gonna have this year?
So we get 3 uniforms. Get a home and away, and then we get a showcase.
What's the show? Oh,
showcase will be black. Black on black with the little maroon.
Ahmed can speak to this. Adidas shows out with that showcase uniform. You remember when we was at PC? We got beat by Bosco that night. We never pulled them out again. But those things was tough. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. What game y'all gonna wear that for? Don't tell me Millville.
No. We don't play Millville.
You got Gonzaga, man.
We might.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Taj and that kid there is the #1 quarterback in that class. So.
That's Taj's class.
2021. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah. He's the #2 quarterback in that class.
Okay. Yeah. So, we going to get to that. I watched that kid single-handedly beat Don Bosco.
He's good.
Single-handedly. They weren't really that good, but he was that good. All right, so we're going to get right to it, man. So St. Peter's comes out this year. Where they initially have you guys ranked to start the preseason?
State?
Yeah.
Somewhere in the top 5, depending on who you talk to, you know.
I'm sure the back end of that.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
4 or 5. What were your preseason challenges?
You know, as a group, we were young. We were a young team.
Yeah?
We're a young team. We got 8 of 11 back on offense, 6 of 11 back on defense. We lose our linebackers, basically, and the safety. But I think every year it's the same kind of challenge, right? Teaching guys how to grind every day, teaching guys how to get better every day, how to work every day. Not worry about the back end of stuff. Let's just take care of business every single day. And if we do that and worry about us, then the rest of it's just going to fall into place. You know. So that's the challenge. When we had a lot of issues. We had a new quarterback.
Yes, I want to talk about that.
You say, "Oh, Taj Bullock, wow, he's a great player." Nobody was saying that last year this time, right? He was an unknown entity. We had to replace a bunch of players, the Masai Mainers of the world, and other good players, and nobody knew. We knew. We had,
I was in contact with Savon all summer. I like our team. I'm not gonna say much, but I like our team.
Like I said, when we talked about that before, like the expectation was nobody expected us to do what we would do. But when I seen us in practice, I'm like, we got a quarterback. And as long as you got a quarterback,
you got a chance.
You got a chance. Like, as long as you got a quarterback, anything is possible. And I saw that early on. And
no doubt.
We talked about that as a staff. Like, people going to sleep on us. And Bergen woke that up, that game.
It's funny because we did, but, there was a way we wanted to bring him along, right? And then middle of the season, he turns.
No, I can't let you get off. Like, how'd you want to bring him along?
I wanted to bring him along with what he does best.
And what?
Set him up to be successful. Start with. I didn't want to come out and just run him because that's what everybody thinks. There's a big difference between being a quarterback who's a great athlete and a great athlete playing quarterback. He's a quarterback who's a great athlete. So we wanted to make sure, conceptually, we did the things that he does best early, and then bring him along. He's going to run. He's going to extend plays. He's going to do that stuff, because that's in his nature. That's his DNA. But he also is a quarterback. Then he gets hurt in the middle of the year, so we had to kind of shut some of our offense down. I wanted to shut him down, but he didn't. He would not stay out. He wanted to play, so he played a 3.5 game stretch where we didn't do much with him in the package, to protect him. And then we finish the season. We lose KJ against Joe's. And going into the season, our first staff meeting, going into the postseason, our first staff meeting, everybody.
Did you lose KJ against Bosco or Joe's? Because you lost somebody against Bosco too. There was a big boy that went down when you guys played Bosco that I initially thought was KJ, but it wasn't.
No, KJ went out against Joe's. He tore his ACL against Joe's.
Was it Cobb?
Cobb hurt his ankle.
Yes.
Against Bosco.
That's right.
Correct.
He did.
Correct. Mace hurt his ankle.
Yeah, because I remember I kept asking Savon, they live in your backfield. He was like, we're missing one of the lines.
So we were shuffling up front now. We're doing a bunch of different things. And now we're starting to get healthy getting into the playoffs. And in our staff meeting, I said, and I talked to Taj after the staff meeting, and I said, you ever gamble? Anybody in your family gamble? He goes, no. I go, I don't gamble either, but there's a big pile of chips. And I'm putting all the chips in the middle of my Taj table. And I said to the staff, we're going to put the ball in his hands 50, 60 times a game, and I'll live with what happens because he is what he is now. And my offense coordinator, Ryan Flaherty, did a great job, just extending what we did all year and expanding what we did all year to make sure that Taj was the focal point even more so than he was all year. And, the kid did what he did. Nobody outside the program understands, you know that. No one was surprised inside the program of how he carried himself and what he did. So we kind of knew what was going to happen. We knew what was going on. We knew how he was going to develop, and he didn't let us down.
Coach, I want to ask you this question because I think this is an undervalued thing that you are probably the best at doing. It is molding the next guy to be prepared for the the show, and you do a great job of the transition from one to the next, where you don't just throw them in the fire. Like, how do you know when that person is ready? For is it something in practice that you see, or is it something in a scrimmage or in a game? But you always seem to, it's never a drop off. Okay, we're not going to do specific things until this person ready. But how do you know that over the course of the time you've been doing this for a long time? And I don't think anybody does better than you when it comes to molding and shaping that kid to be ready for this position.
Well, you were part of it as a running back, right? So I will drink no wine before it's time. I will play no player before his time, and it takes time, especially for quarterbacks, right? So you identify his positives, you identify his negatives. Let's get him better at the things he doesn't do real well right now. And when he starts doing those things well in practice consistently, then let's start playing him a little bit and make sure we do those things. You don't have to do let's do some of the stuff he does. We know he does well, but let's really get those things in the game plan that he's improving on. And then let it roll from there. And that's how you go from, we were talking about this the other day, Joe Daly to Brandon Napoleon to Ralph Ortiz to Brandon Wimbush, to John Lewis, to Masai Maynor, to Taj. And there were other guys too, but just like that whole kind of just quarterbacks are different,
Now I want to dig a little deeper into that because to that point too, I think it's also important that people don't talk about is how do you deal with that, with especially in this era where parents are so like, I want my kid to play right now.
That's what I want to ask.
And if my kid's not playing, he gonna go somewhere else.
The microwave era.
Yeah, like how do you handle that? I think I remember I hugged you one day in practice. I'm like, Coach, I don't know how you do it, but like, how do you handle those relationships and get the parent to still believe in what you're doing? Because even though with your resume, parents still going to be parents and they're going to do what they think is best for their child. So how do you handle that? Been doing this for all this time, and what do you usually say to the parents?
It's hard. It's worse. It's harder today, not just at our place, every place than it's ever been, right? So I think the biggest mistake parents make are believing that they know the answers because they played the game 30 years ago or 20 years ago, because they had experience in college or wherever.
Right.
And this game changes so much in 2 years, never mind 20 or 30. So I think managing personalities is important. Getting people to see the big picture is really, really important. It's not about the game tomorrow. It's not about the game next week. And I can give you the greatest illustration of patience and trust in the process and in development was Heather Wimbush. Brandon Wimbush was the brightest light in the country his senior year. I mean, there was nobody playing football the way Brandon was playing football when he was a senior in high school. He started as a junior. He did not start as a sophomore. And there was a lot of pressure from people to her. Why isn't Brandon playing? He's better than the kid playing. He was. But we weren't very good up front and really good up front. I didn't want to put him in there and have him develop more bad habits by just throwing him to the lines and letting him go. And you know what that does to a player. I truly believe we would have thrown Brandon into the fire as a sophomore, the junior and senior year would have looked differently. Yeah. So it's about patience. And listen, do you make mistakes? Yeah, man. Everybody, should I maybe play them more? It's hard to say, but I think you got to trust the system, believe in the system, and hope that development curve happens, and then let them fly, let them go.
Great question. Yeah, that was definitely one of the things I wanted to ask. I'm listening to you, and I hear a lot of the values of when I grew up, and that's done. It's the microwave era. Give it to me now, or I'm out. But a question I want to ask you as a coach: what do you think about reclasses? Do you think that it can benefit a kid, or like, where do you stand in that? Because I have a lot of conversations with parents, and I'm going to tell you that I'm an advocate of, if you want to play in the Big North, most times, unless your kid is just blessed with the physical attributes, which not a lot of kids get, it's going to be very hard for a kid that's 13 years old, turning 14, to go in and play. What I'm noticing is we got a lot of Pop Warner kids that played Pee-wees, which is like a 130-pound weight limit, right. Or even junior midgets was 150 pounds, and you might have been on the line at that. If you was a running back, you was 120.
Right.
And you come in here, and these are schools that cost 16, 14, 13 grand a year, and you're competing against parents that have kids and parents that have already known, I'm an alum at St. Peter's, alum at Don Bosco. It's already been playing. My son's reclass. He's been lifting for 2 years. And now this kid comes in, and he was all world in Pop Warner. And now mom wants him to play right away. For me, I add advice to, the kids that I dealt with in Pop Warner, and I try to give realistic advice. If you're going to your local town ball, then yes, I think that if you're an undersized kid, you have the time to grow and mature. But if you're going to the Big North in a microwave where you're going to want it now, would you think that's the smartest? Like, where do you stand on that? Like, if I was a parent and I asked you that, like, you see my son has potential. He might need a year of growth, but, and I said, Rich, I trust what you tell me. Like, where would you stand with that?
I've seen it work both ways. I'll be honest with you. And I think it depends on the kid. The expectation can't be, though, that I'm going to reclass him because I just want him to be a better football player, and then he's going to go to high school and he's going to start, varsity as a freshman, because that doesn't always translate to that. right? So I think it depends on the kid and the situation. Is he young? Does he need another year of academic growth? Does he need another year physically to grow? You know, what's the whole picture? What's the whole situation? We've had, and probably 40% of our program now are reclass kids, right?
Yeah.
So and they're great kids and they're doing well, and you know, but there's 60% who aren't, and we've had All-Americans. One's out in the hallway now waiting to come in, right? He didn't reclass.
I mean, he's blessed.
Reclass.
Those kids are blessed physically.
Yeah, well, but there are a lot of kids like that, right? So even if they're 13 years old, but they're
Christian LeBron is physically like that.
Christian LeBron is we talked about him last year. You know, he's a gifted dude, but it's not for everyone. But it does really help a lot of kids. Here's the pitfall for me. I would not want two things to happen for a kid when he reclasses. One, to exacerbate bad habits that have been developed, you know, and two, to just do it because he wants to be the man for another year, and he's going to whoop up on guys in practice every day and then every weekend, because that gives you a false sense of preparedness. You know what I mean? If I'm the baddest man on the planet, then you know, you probably should, on that planet, you shouldn't be there. You should move on and challenge yourself and compete, because you develop and practice every day more than you do on the 2-hour game night, right? So if that practice 5 days a week or 4 days a week in a reclass year is going to be spent not learning how to grind, not working hard, not learning concepts, not skill development, not technique development, and you're just whooping up on people and you're just rolling and you're just the king of the hill, and think that that's going to get you ready to start varsity as a freshman in the super conference, you're probably not doing it the right way. You know, so I think it happens both ways.
And I think that's something that you just said, Coach, that's a testament to your program, but more importantly, how the kids look at college too. Right? Is it important to understand that you got to pick the college that's best for you, but the developmental program that's going to prepare you for the next 40 years of your life. Yep. You know, and I've seen it in person where you told coaches no because they wanted to jump on, similar to like, no, we want to do this. No, like that's not what this kid is molded for. And this is what you're getting. So this is the expectation, and if your expectation isn't what you want, like find somebody else. Right. You know, but I think it translates exactly to the mentality of how you look at the reclass kids is similar to how these kids are viewed going to the next phase of their life and going to college. And now, again, that's another undervalued thing, because, you know, outside of having a great high school career, you want to have a great college and more importantly, have a great work life in the next 40 years. And that's, I think, the big thing that you, and I'm honored to be able to coach with you and play for you, that I've seen that you've done with kids through and throughout, is see the big picture. And you definitely address those things that you're saying now. Is for even 8th graders who reclassed, who want to come to prep or want to go here or want to go there, they still have to see the big picture. The big picture is the most important thing when you are reclassing. And don't forget that. And don't just go out there and, all right, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to play, I'm going to start. Like, no, like that's, you still need experience. I don't care if you're a 17-year-old, you're still a freshman, right? A freshman is still a freshman that doesn't have the experience yet until he plays against other kids that been playing for 3-4 years. Yep. You know,
the speed factor, man. The game's fast.
So another question. Last time we had you here, we spoke about Minka and going to Alabama, and your concerns with Minka going to Alabama. You know, St. Peter's Prep. You know, throughout the years, the identity in regards to college has kind of changed. Because when I was younger, a lot of the St. Peter's Prep kids went to Boston College. Then, you know, you had your Notre Dame era, you know, different things like that. So I assume these are programs that you built relationships with and things such as that. And one of the things you said to Minka, if you go there, you better be the best because I can't protect you. Exactly. I was speaking to my partner who I run Keep It a Buck with, Med Thomas, and we were talking about, you know, a lot of the coaches, we feel that a lot of the coaches don't go do the extra to protect their kids or sell their kids. Example, if a kid is at St. Peter's Prep, he's worked hard for 4 years, he's been a starter, he's contributed, he's done his thing, he can really play. He could really play. He gets an offer, hypothetically, he gets an offer from Albany. Mm-hmm. and then Albany says, well, he's an inch too short or something like that, and pulls this kid's scholarship, leaving with nothing. How would you help that kid? Like, is Albany in good graces to come back through St. Peter's Prep and get the next Savon? Or at that point, did they really just offend the whole program?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And it happens in different aspects, you know, of the college game and our relationship with them as high school coaches. And for me, you know, listen, when they come in and you know, because you do it too now, you're in the business of it. When they come in, this is the thing. I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm going to tell you what I feel about my player, and I'm going to make sure if this kid can't play at Alabama, I'm not going to sit with Alabama and try and sell him to you. So you can trust that I'm going to do the right thing that way. And then in return, I'm going to trust that if you offer a kid, and it's a committable offer, it's not just some offer we're throwing out, right? That when I call, you're going to take the offer. Or if it's getting close to, you know, listen, coach, we got another kid committed. We had a kid visit this weekend. If Jimmy doesn't want to do this, it might not be here by Tuesday. I respect that, because then I can call Jimmy and say, listen, this is going to happen here. You got to make a decision. So it's a two-way thing. It's a two-way street. I would like to not think that would, in that scenario, would happen to us. But I will tell you, I'll be honest with you, if it does, and when it doesn't, it happens once in a while, that coach will get a call from me. And basically it'll be, listen, man, I don't appreciate the way you handle this. So be really, really careful on our conversations moving forward for a while, because I'm hurt.
And I think that's...
Hey, Coach, I want to ask you this too. When kids start to get the attention, and now with the early signing day that's happening now, you know, how are you communicating with the student athletes on your team to focus on the season but still be conscientious of your future, you know, because you don't want to miss out on an opportunity by just focusing solely on football, but you still got to pay attention to the college deal, because if you don't commit early, then you might be left with nothing.
Yep.
So how do you handle that with parents and particularly the player, to make sure that they're aware of those things, but they're not so consumed with it? Because, you know, a lot of the kids want to flaunt it, they want to flex that stuff, but how do you handle that when you need to have those conversations? Because speaking from a player perspective, sometimes players are nervous to talk to coaches about college during the season.
Yeah.
And sometimes some coaches just kind of give the cold shoulder or aren't approachable in that sense. So how do you kind of handle that, you know, when a kid wants to know about his future now in game 6, but still in the same breath focus on this upcoming opponent?
Yep. Listen, I think kids got to make themselves marketable, and it's not just about being a great football player anymore. Those days are gone, right? So you better have the academic portfolio. You better know how to grind,
right?
And you better be a good football player. Right. All those things they don't stop. So you don't stop when the season starts. You don't stop talking about them. That doesn't mean they have to be focused on their college career, because I tell kids this all the time, and we have some really good players in the program who will not talk about college stuff during the season. I have to pull them in my office and say, listen, Coach so-and-so called, Coach so-and-so called, this was the week. What do you think about that? How are you feeling about it? Coach, no, you got to think about it. We got to talk about it. No, I'm just worried about Bergen. No. 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes. Let's talk about it. And I think it's like climbing a ladder, right? If I ask you to get to the roof of this building, we put a ladder out front, you're not going to take a running start and jump to the top rung, right? You're going to go one step at a time. But your eyes are going to be up there, right? You're going to be up there, but you're going one step at a time. That's very similar to the way we try to do it, right? Keep your eyes on the future, all right? But keep your heart on the next step. Because if you're not a good high school football player, you're not going to be a college football player. Right. No matter how good you think you are or what bad hand you've been dealt. If you don't develop and become a good player now, then you're not marketable. And I think so kids that get that understand it, and keeping them tapped into the lure of you're going to have a future. Part of the business of being here and being a high school coach is trying to help them build an opportunity and build a future, right? So we want them to understand that they're going to have an opportunity, and here's the best way to take advantage of that opportunity. Get better every day. Work really hard. Be a selfless teammate. Make sure your academic stuff is in order. Because the first question, you know this, college coaches come in. The first two questions. Coach, what kind of kid? What kind of kid is he? And the second question is, what kind of student is he? They don't ask about the football part of it till 3 or 4, and that's the truth. So if they're asking 3 or 4, I'm not going to make the third or fourth thing they're concerned with the first thing,
right?
Because if you are a great player and you have C's and D's, doesn't matter. You're going to junior college, you're going to go to prep school, which is like reclassing for some kids, which is fine for some kids. But it really comes down to the kid making himself marketable 24/7 all year long.
Now, Coach, to that point, a question I think every single coach in the Big North goes through this is how do you handle the kids who aren't the Cody Simon, Tajmel Bullocks, who play alongside those kids, who think that because I played alongside, Tajmel, that I'm a starting receiver or running back, that because he handed me the ball, I should be getting the Duke offer because he got it. Like, how do you handle those conversations with parents and players to at least, again, the goal is to go to college for free and get money. That's the goal. And I think somewhere in translation it gets lost where I just want to go Division I and handle that. And I think you know where I'm going with that. But I think everybody needs to, want to, explore that, because going to school and playing ball is the goal. Like, doesn't matter the division. Like, you turn the Division III national championship, them dudes is all ballers.
It's about the fit. That's the word. That's the golden word, right?
Yeah.
You better find the right fit for every kid, and every kid is different, because there's nothing worse, man. There is nothing worse than a kid going to a place that's not a good fit. I tell this story all the time. You're going to walk in with mommy or daddy or both. You're going to put your luggage down. They're going to put your bags down. They're going to make your bed for you. Then they're out. And you're in a room. And you better be in a situation where you're going to be happy. You're going to be able to compete. You're going to go to class and get good grades. And it's got to be a fit academically too, right? And because if you're at a place where you're never going to play, you're a battering ram.
Well, time out. When you say go somewhere where you can compete, or at a place when you're never going to play, how do you know, like, when you're going to be able to compete, or if you put yourself in a position, like, because sometimes you just don't get an opportunity. How, like, as a coach, how do you help a kid pick that situation?
Because it's on us to make sure we match the fit as best as we possibly can. So I know I'm not going to send, 5'9", 220-pound linemen to Notre Dame. They're not going to offer them anyway, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to send a 5'10", 270-pound 3-tech to Alabama.
Okay.
Because it's not, you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be a fit there. And we say this to guys all the time, like, our unbelievably most productive player and a co-captain, Ben Silver, who was, like, he's the heartbeat. He and the other guy coming in here are the heartbeats. Like, Ben made so many plays this year. You know where he's going? He's going to Bryant. He's going to Bryant. And he was level-headed, sane, focused from the beginning, and was built on the fit. Coach, I want to go to a good fit place. Could I have sold him to someplace bigger? Probably, or definitely as a PWO. But he's going to a great fit place where he's going to be able to play, contribute, get good grades, get a great education, get a great degree, and be productive. That's what it's about.
I hear what you're saying, and it's frustrating, because you want to get the kids to the right school. Like, you want to help them, and the battle, the struggle is like, no, that's not where I want to go, because I want to play here. And you're like,
But where does he get that from? Listen, if the kid listens to the right people, he's going to understand what the fit is. Kids know. Listen, call somebody and Johnny, you want to go to Notre Dame? Seriously? Who told you can play at Notre Dame? Johnny's 5'9", he's 170 pounds. Son, you know what I tell him? It's Thursday. You know what, man? I want to coach the Giants this weekend, but you know what? I'm going to coach you on Friday night, okay? You got to know where your place is. You got to find a fit. This is my fit. Notre Dame's not your fit, man, and you got to understand that.
Is that a hard conversation to have, or
you know what? With our guys, I think sometimes it is, but we have good enough relationship where I think they respect that. And the problem is, and this goes for everything, and you know it, because you're in it too. Be careful who you trust, because the people on the outside got nothing to lose. I'm vested in your life, son. I'm with you here. I don't have to be here. You don't have to be here. We're both here. We're vested in one another's lives. My only, the biggest thing that you take away from coaching is my relationship with you for the rest of your life. right? My relationship with you for the rest of it. So I'm not going to lie to you. That guy, he can tell you anything you want to hear. Anything you want to hear. I can't. And I won't.
Cool. So, all right. So now I have some questions I want to get to. You spoke about a kid that keeps his eye on the goal, don't even want to talk about the season and all that. And I personally don't know who you're talking about, but I feel like Cody Simon is one of those kids. I always comment to Savon how impressed I am with the way he carries himself. When you guys play St. Joe's, I'll speak to like Audric and, I'll tell him little things to do. And one of the things he do is he talks. Because if he can get you into a one-on-one, now you're more concerned with knocking his head off than staying grounded, filling your lane. You flying around and you make yourself look stupid. He said, can't get Cody Simon. I called Savon. He said, can't get Cody Simon and say one word. That's how locked in the kid is.
Yep.
Do you think, because he's so quiet, so I'm going to give you a two-pronged question so we can work our way into the other thing. Do you think that Cody Simon, and let me tell you what I mean, because I feel like he's disrespected. I'm not even going to say undervalued. He's disrespected. Why do I say that? If you go onto 24/7 Sports, the composite, they have Cody Simon as the number 74 kid in the country, the number 4 linebacker in the country, the number 1 player in New Jersey. Now I'm going to take you to Rivals. These are all the major scouting services on Rivals. He's the number 43 kid in the whole country, number 5 in his position, number 1 in his state. Now I'm going to bring you to New Jersey. Top 50 from what's this guy's name? Todrick Hunt. Cody Simon is the number 10 player in New Jersey. Behind, Vanover, Jordan Morant, George Rooks. Let me keep going. George Rooks, R.J. Moulton from Delran, Tyrone Malone, Isaiah Rikes, Jalen Berger is number 3, Aaron Lewis, and number 1 is Fidel Diggs. Now, this kid goes to these national showcases with the top 3 kids in this poll, and he's always the kid that steals the show. But at home, he gets no respect. Do you think it's because he's quiet or because he doesn't come from Brick City? Which one would you think that was?
You know what? Can I answer? Yeah, you want to dial that down a little bit. No, I'll tell you the truth. I don't, and Cody will tell you the same thing. He doesn't know. He doesn't care. Like, it doesn't matter, man. You ask him, you talk to him, like, it was pulling teeth to get him to talk about a decision, during the season. He's just like, I don't know, Coach. I just, Cody, we got to talk about it. And it's the same thing with stuff like this. Like, those guys in those places never put a helmet on, or they put it on backwards first. Like, they don't understand it. And if they do, then they just plain got it wrong. Because if there's a better player in the state of New Jersey, nobody in here has seen him.
You're 100% correct. And I'm going to tell you just how far I go with that. He's a defensive player. He scored on special teams. Yep. He actually might have had more touchdowns than some running backs. And he's always making plays.
Yep.
Like, Cody's easy to justify. Like, when you get his type of stature and you're decorated, a lot of times they got to compensate for when you don't show up, right? Cody made it easy to make him the number 1 kid in New Jersey and to give him Player of the Year because he showed up every time.
Yep.
He showed up every time. Part of the plan when St. Joe's played you guys that played into their favor is you guys win a lot of games from extra point scores and your defense scores. It's predominantly that kid. St. Joe's don't put the ball on the floor and kept you out of situations to score on special teams. Mm-hmm. And that's the one loss you have.
Yep.
You had a few close games in which that kid changed the tone of the game. And yet and still, no love at home.
Yep.
No love at home. And I just wanted to ask, like, I know that he doesn't care, but you guys got to want more for him. Mm. And, like, how do you go? Okay, hold on, Richie. Here we go. Now I'm going to tune this in. Do you think if he was in Bergen County, he would have been Player of the Year?
I don't know, but he if you're 7-4 and you rank number 1 in the state going into the state final, anything's possible, I guess. Right? You get a little bit more shine for whatever reason, But let me say this. Cody's first team All-American in 2 polls. Two USA Today, right? True. First team All-American, first team All-State, captain of the national team in the All-American game. Listen, he doesn't care about any of that. He just cares that he's wearing a ring. He just cares that he's going to a great school and that he has an opportunity. And the kid won't blink. Kid won't duck. Kid is not going to care about anything anybody else says about him. Cares about his teammates, cares about his school, his coaches, and his team. And that's the God's honest truth. And he'll tell you that when he sits here. The most genuine kid you're ever going to find. And he just going to go out and play. Hopefully we win, Coach, and he's going to give everything he's got. And the rest of the stuff's going to fall into place. But you're right. For whatever reason, that other person that you mentioned, I don't know. I don't know what his deal is. Maybe he didn't watch him enough. I always, when I see those things, like this guy's ranked 10th, this guy's ranked 1, this guy's ranked. Did you see all those guys play enough to be able to rank them against one another? Or you just caught them in a couple clips and, you're listening to somebody you know. Like
to me, that just waters down these polls. It just waters down. It waters down New Jersey. It's not. It doesn't need no correlation. Like,
it's a joke.
You can't be ranked higher nationally than you are in your own state, and that person not ranked. Like that, it just waters down your poll, and it exposes the flaws, right? And the message boards and all that. It don't even attain at that point now, because that is. I've never seen anything like that, and I'm probably sure every other state in the entire country doesn't add up the way New Jersey does. But I don't know. I can't even answer.
I'm happy Rooks is in there. He deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we have a saying: it's about us. It's always about us, and that's all that matters.
All right, next question.
Go ahead. This is the one you got paid a lot of money for.
No, this ain't it yet. I'm gonna tell you when I got paid. I'm coming after this. So the next question. So you win the state championship this year. It's Sabella part 2. We had Sabella here, and he said the game was basically 2016 all over again. And what he meant by that was the first time you guys matched up, you took a lead into halftime. They felt like they left points on the board. They came out and they took the game from y'all. This time, they go into the half up. You guys come out of the half and take the game from them. So you guys are split at 1 apiece now. Do you expect this theme that you and Sabella, you're going to be seeing a lot of each other? Like,
listen, Danny does a great job, man. He's a good guy. He's in the right place. And I have a lot of respect. Like I said before the game and the week before the game and in our locker room minutes before the game, we have a lot of respect for them, and I have a lot of respect for the work he does. So 2016 was like 100 years ago. But I know this, in the first half of this game,
red zone,
when you're on the offensive side, it's like we left a lot of points on the field. We just didn't score enough. We had them pinned. We had a chance to put Prep on there. And if you're on the defensive side, it's like we play great defense. We put our defense in bad positions. It was a field position game, and we were able to do enough to keep them out of the end zone. I thought the defense was unbelievable in the first half. And I thought they played really well defensively too. And then, the second half came, and Pat Lanny said it the best, and I bust him all the time. He never put on a helmet either, but Pat's a good guy and works at this stuff. And, there was a little clip in the paper, and it said, how does St. Peter's win the game? You know how they do that? How does Bosco win it? How does St. Peter's win the game? Down by less than a touchdown with 2 minutes to go in the game, and Bullock has the ball in his hands. And guess what? He was right. And that's exactly how. And we knew, and we got out of the first half, and we were able to dodge some bullets and play great defense. And Cody had a big, return. We got I don't want to say a cheap one, but we got something besides offensively. We knew that we just had to keep swinging, and that had to be really distressful for them to come out of the first half in that situation. But listen, that's football, man. That's the way it goes. We had a couple special team scores. We played well. At times, we did enough offensively, and we had number 12 playing for us, and that's the difference.
Makes sense. Okay. So now for the question I got paid all the money for. I want to read this quote. I have a quote here, and I want to ask you guys, what does it mean to you guys? Coach Hansen, post-game interview, he said it's a good win for St. Peter's, who isn't one of those privileged silver spoon schools in Bergen County. What did that mean to you guys?
Listen, this has been going on for my entire career, man. This isn't just from this year or 5 years ago. It's going on for 38 years. We all know, let's call it what it is, right? Mm-hmm. The Bergen County schools get treated and looked at a little differently. They're not an inner city school. They have what they have, the beautiful trees and great places, and that's great. And the focus of the media is embedded in Bergen County. So the schools that they've covered over the course of their lives have been Bergen County schools. They've never given us the kind of respect that I think we deserve. But this year was blatant. We were 10-1.
Come on, Ray.
We were 10-1.
You think y'all deserve? Hold on. Let me go here. You have Millville, Erasmus Hall, Union City,
right?
Pope John,
right?
We're not even gonna get to Notre Dame on the schedule. You don't think that has anything? St. Peter's is. Nas and I had this conversation online. Mm-hmm. Urban Meyer made a statement where he was talking about Jersey football and getting kids, and he mentioned the Big North League, but specifically Bergen County. And Nas said how he forget the state champs. And I said, anybody that knows New Jersey in the last, you can pick 30, 40 years, knows that St. Peter's is always there. However, if out of sight, out of mind. And what I mean by that is, if you aren't taking your brand on the road, because like I use this comparison to them. Brick City in East Orange, pretty much the same type of kids. Brick City goes to Florida and gets it done, so people around the country know Brick City. They don't quite know East Orange, but Brick City know East Orange. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like you guys are too big a brand to have schools like that on your schedule, unless that fits the theme in which you spoke with bringing Taj development along, and you wanted to work him through before you jumped in and graded.
You change your schedule every year. That's a young team that you bring along, and young kids that you bring along a certain way. Now, I'm not going to disrespect Millville because they have an iconic program.
I'll do it for you.
Okay,
I'll do it for you.
You can.
They're not big
cool.
North material.
How's West Orange? Because Bosco played West Orange. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you didn't mention it.
Yeah.
You didn't mention it.
When we talking about St. Peter's, though. When we talking about St. Peter's.
Because Bosco played one school.
And hold on. And why I would not mention Bosco. Bosco hasn't consistently been as good.
You asked the question, so you better mention it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But they haven't consistently been as good as St. Peter's has been for the last, we're going to say 10 years. Like Bosco had their time, and then they had their 5-4 records, right?
Yep.
So they're trying to put their brand back on the map. Your brand hasn't left the map. There's no reason for your brand to have that on it.
Don't you think it's important, or maybe you don't think it's important, but it's important for non-publics to play publics, right?
Nah.
Bigger picture. Yeah, it is. It really is. And you know, we went to Ireland a few years ago.
The Georgia team.
Yeah, Blessed Trinity. They were on national championship night. Remember, they were the last team to beat Trevor Lawrence, Blessed Trinity, before in high school. Great program. We started this out of state stuff. You realize that, right?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we started this. We played California schools, Florida schools, Massachusetts schools, Pennsylvania schools, Ohio schools, New York schools. You mentioned Erasmus Hall. Erasmus Hall won the state championship in New York. They were bad. They were badass group. Yeah. Trust me when I tell you.
I think y'all hope that's the case.
I mean, look at. Did you watch them on film?
All right. So what I'm seeing right here is I'm seeing these publics you're talking about. Millville got it by 48, and you were resting cats. I'm seeing Union City. They got it by 40. Right. Erasmus Hall, donut. They're 20, bad night for y'all early in the season. Who else? Pope John, 40. And we're going to leave that there. You think it's a good idea to play them?
Yeah. You have to play Pope John. So does Bosco and Bergen and Joseph.
Well, I mean, Nas is going to bring them back. Nas is going to bring Pope John back from the dead. Things have changed there.
But that's a mandatory crossover. That's a mandatory crossover.
Yeah.
We got to play them.
Those are slayings,
you know
man.
What I mean?
Those are slaying. So, come on, Rich. How you going to explain that,
7-4. And we...
Yeah, you going to have 4.
Okay, but listen to me. One of their 4 was to us. We beat them.
You beat everybody for the most part. But
there you go. So we should have been number 1, don't you think?
No.
I was happy going in the way we were.
Because I feel like y'all have to challenge ourselves. And when you play in those, you're not challenging yourself. Your first game really was Bergen Catholic.
We beat the team we were playing in the finals who had a 7-4 record. God bless them for crafting a way to manipulate the press to become number one because they went on a great streak. Right. That's great. We beat them. And nobody else beat us. We're 10-1, and they're ranked ahead of us. So you could take Millville, throw it out the window. Pope John, they played them too. Union City, well, they played West Orange. Okay,
Rasmus Hall
was as good. Was as good.
Yes,
as anybody in their non-conference schedule.
1,000%. They would give anybody. They would give any team.
No, they're coming on next week, right?
Yeah.
Erasmus Hall.
They would give any team in the Big North some problems.
Curtis. No, I don't think so.
Curtis Samuel. Let's be honest. Curtis Samuel went to Rasmus Hall.
Stop that right there. Because styles make games. Styles make games, right?
It's about matchups.
Even Sabella said it.
1,000% you're right, yes.
They knew that you guys were a bad matchup for them, and Joe's was a more favorable matchup. Joe's wanted to see y'all because y'all favored them more than Bosco did.
It's all about matchups.
Styles make
no,
games.
100%. I just don't want to downplay. Like Rasmus got some dudes. Like, and going into that game, they were a lot better than I thought they were, and they performed. And they had some.
Were they better than you thought they were?
They were bigger than I thought they were.
See, there's the problem.
Size, they really had good
there's
size.
the problem. Attitude reflect leadership.
You know,
y'all took it light on them.
No,
I would just refuse to believe that.
We don't do that. We don't take
no.
Trust me. We don't take Millville light. You keep wanting to hit on Millville.
Yeah.
But let me just say this too about Bosco. This isn't a hit on Bosco. Like I get who they played, but we all played the same people. You don't look good in that hat. DB means a lot of things.
Thanks for the gear again. Thanks for the gear.
We don't. I'm not taking anything away. Listen, they work hard. They play the same schedule we play. Basically, it's all the same stuff, right? Take this one out, take that one out. So I give them a ton of respect, and I love Danny. We haven't talked since the game, but I love him, and we'll talk again sometime. But it's about getting to that point in the season, and not just that game. I will guarantee you. How did Bergen finish? What was their record? Bad, right? They went on a slide. They got injured.
Yeah, I think it was like 5-4.
Nobody talk about that.
They'll be 1, 2, or 3 coming into the season.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah. You know why?
I mean,
1,000%.
Because Steve Agnelli has an Ohio State offer. Tyrone Malone is All-American.
They had him last year too.
Jaden Gould is back off injury.
Okay.
Jaden Gould is supposed to play this year.
They'll be 1, 2. They'll be 1, 2, or 3 in the state.
I think they'll be. I think it's going to be between you two for number one.
Because why? Because they're Bergen Catholic.
I'd rather be.
Bosco will be right there.
Yeah.
Joe's will be right there. Okay. And as the season goes on, I don't care who you are, man. You lose 4 football games, you're 7-4, and it's been us in the past too. So I'm not just picking on Bosco. You're 7-4. You're not the number one team in the state. You're not the number one team in the state. And you lost 3 games. You lost 2 games in the country.
You are who your record says you are.
Yeah.
So,
and listen, I'll go. Every day, I'll go to Belly of the Beast and beat a dog every day of the week. I'm just saying when the game was over, that's a fact. And I was asked the question, do you feel disrespected coming into the game? Did you feel disrespected coming into the game? And I said, yes. We don't get the silver spoon treatment that the Bergen County schools get from the media. It was a shot at the media, not really a shot at Bosco. But everybody took it that way. That's fine, whatever. Okay,
Because if we were 7-4, let's just be honest, we would not be in the top 10.
No,
we would not. And I think every single school can agree that if we were 7-4, we would not be in the top 10.
Do you know?
Think about that.
You know how many people called me after that? Bergen County people.
I was sending Savon screenshots.
Right. And said, right on, Coach. You were right on.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
All right, so
I got hate mail. I don't care, man.
All right, guys, man. So hold on, Coach. We've totally went over our time, man. This has been a good time because I can see we can go on this topic forever.
Yes, we can.
Thanks for coming here and keeping it in the buck with us, Coach Rich Hansen, St. Peter's Prep. Your 2019 state champions. And they don't got the silver spoon in their mouth. So we're going to wrap it up like that. We out.
to miss out on an opportunity by just focusing solely on football, but you still got to pay attention to the college deal, because if you don't commit early, then you might be left with nothing.
Yep.
So how do you handle that with parents and particularly the player, to make sure that they're aware of those things, but they're not so consumed with it? Because, a lot of the kids want to flaunt it, they want to flex that stuff, but how do you handle that when you need to have those conversations? Because speaking from a player perspective, sometimes players are nervous to talk to coaches about college during the season.
Yep.
And sometimes some coaches just kind of give the cold shoulder or aren't approachable in that sense. So how do you kind of handle that, when a kid wants to know about his future now in game 6, but still in the same breath focus on this upcoming opponent?
Yep. Listen, I think